Good afternoon. Welcome to our Little Rock Board of Directors agenda meeting. This is the opportunity that we have to set the agenda for our meeting that is upcoming on June 20th. And we've got several items to consider, but first we have a very special opportunity to hear from members of the crew of the USS Little Rock. For those of you who are not familiar with the USS Little Rock, before I call on the commander for a presentation, let me mention that about 3 years ago, I was sitting in my office and I got a call from Starla, my assistant, who said, the Secretary of the Navy is on the telephone and would like to visit with you. Not my typical phone call that I receive. And I said, really? Really, the Secretary of the Navy? And she said, that's what they said. So I answered the phone, and sure enough, Secretary Ray Mabus, the Secretary of the Navy, introduced himself and said that he was very excited to let me know on behalf of the city that as the Secretary of the Navy, he had the exclusive prerogative to name a new class of warships that Congress had funded that were going to be built, called the LCS class, the Littoral Combat Ship class of ships, a new 21st century, latest and greatest in military warfare on the high seas. And so he came to town, and we had a presentation down in Riverfront Park. I think a couple of you might have been there. I think Dean, you might have been there for that. Thank you. And he announced that we were going to be naming it the USS Little Rock. Secretary Mabus had served as a junior officer on the original USS Little Rock, which was actually built in 1947 and did all sorts of activities throughout the career of that ship until it was decommissioned and is made into a maritime museum located in Buffalo, New York on Lake Erie. So we were very excited about that, and through the course of the next 3 years now, the ship has been built, it's been christened, and it's going through its testing phases so that it can be commissioned at the end of the year. One of the important elements of the naming of a ship, and particularly after its namesake, the City of Little Rock, is an opportunity for the sailors on the ship to get to know the city and the citizens in our city. And so we have 15 sailors with us and have been with us for 3 or 4 days now, out of basically a base complement on the ship of about 50 people. So we've got a substantial number of the sailors from the USS Little Rock that have been with us now, getting to know the city and getting to know our citizens and having a great time. The real function, and I think the commander will elaborate on this, but the real opportunity is to really create a bond between the sailors and the city that will continue on after it's commissioned, when it's deployed and carrying on its mission throughout the world to keep us safe. So with that as a preface, I'd like to call on Commander Todd Peters, Captain Peters, who would like to make some comments and show a video of the USS Little Rock. Welcome.
Mr. Mayor. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. We're very pleased to be here, and we would like to thank the city for their hospitality. As the mayor said, the crew's been here for a couple days, and we've gotten to experience the character of the city, and we really appreciate it. Everybody has been very gracious hosts, and I really do think that our sailors will be able to carry these memories with them for the rest of their lives. And we've been trying to share this with the sailors that weren't able to come with us through Facebook and through photos. But I really do think that as much as they'll enjoy it, I think that they'll feel like we were very fortunate to have been able to come and visit the city. So thank you very much. As the mayor said, the Littoral Combat Ship is a new class of ship for the Navy. And the idea is we want to try to bring some capabilities to the fleet that we have not had. And so our ship is a little bit smaller than most of the other combatant ships in the Navy, but what we lack in size, we make up for in speed and maneuverability in a shallow draft. So we'll be able to go about twice as fast as the other ships in the Navy. We have a draft that's about half as much as the rest of the ships in the Navy. So we'll be able to go in closer to shore. We'll be able to access ports that the Navy has not been able to go into really probably since the Second World War. And we'll be able to add capability to the fleet through our modularity and reconfigurable nature of the ship. So the picture here is a picture of Little Rock when she was when she was christened and launched up in Marinette back in the spring of 2015. And we actually have a video of this that we'll show you here in a minute. Next, please. So this is a brief video I'd like to share with you to give you an overview of the ship itself. So, as you can see in the video, very, very high speed and very maneuverable ship, more so than our traditional ships in the fleet. Okay, so modularity is a big core component of the construction of the ship. And so, whereas a lot of the ships that are currently in service, because of their larger size, they can carry more equipment on board at one time. Because of being able to reduce the size of the ship, we're going to concentrate on one of three primary mission areas at a time. And those areas, as it says on the slide, are surface warfare, mine countermeasures, and anti-submarine warfare. Because of this, we have two spaces on the ship that are called reconfigurable spaces, and we also have a waterborne mission zone. In those three spaces, we can bring on, there are miniature Connex boxes with equipment that can be rapidly installed onto the ship that gives us the primary mission capability and augments the core mission systems of the ship in that one special mission area. And as we're at sea operating, if a fleet commander needs or a operational commander decides that there's a need for a different warfare capability, we can surge back into port and within about probably 4 to 5 days offload the current mission module, bring a new mission module on board, and then be able to get back and with our roughly 50 knot capability and speed, be able to surge back out and bring that capability to the fleet. With this, it's a totally modular concept, both with the mission modules and the crew. So the ship itself, as you saw in the video, has a crew of about 54. And then when we bring the mission module on board, we'll have probably 25 roughly sailors that come with that equipment that will help operate it and maintain it. And then we'll also get an air detachment of anywhere from 1 to 2 helicopters and 1 to 2 remote aerial vehicles. And they'll have pilots and maintainers that come with them that will bring probably another 25 people. So when the ship's on station on deployment, we'll have a crew of somewhere between 100 to 110 sailors to operate all of the augmented equipment on board the ship. Because of the small nature of the crew, we will rely on shore maintenance and shore support more so than most ships in the Navy. We have about a traditional ship. A traditional ship has probably about 35 people on watch at any given time. Our entire underway watch section is going to be 7 personnel in 3 sections. So sailors will stand 4 to 6 hours of watch, and then they'll have 8 to 12 hours off, and then they'll be back on watch. And so a lot of cross-training and a lot of cross-utilization of our sailors, but because of that, we don't have the manpower on board to maintain the maintenance responsibilities that a traditional ship would. So we will also go into port and we'll have detachments of sailors that will come assist us with repair maintenance and upkeep maintenance on our equipment. So that will allow us to maintain the ship and operate like any other ship in the Navy. It just doesn't reside on board the ship. Next slide, please. So this shows the Freedom variant. This is one of the Freedom class underway on the Great Lakes under high-speed operations. We have a propulsion plant that's made up of a combined system of gas turbines and diesels. And so we have two Fairbanks Morse diesel engines, very similar to the diesel engines that be on a locomotive. And then we also have two gas turbine engines, which are by Rolls-Royce. It's the same jet engine that's on a Boeing 777. And so we will use primarily the diesel engines for cruising at speeds of roughly 15 knots and less. And then when we want to sprint, we'll be able to engage the gas turbines, and that's where we'll get our sprint speed, which really, depending on the weight of the load out on the ship, may be as high as 50 knots or more. We do have a shallow draft, about 13 feet, which will allow us to get in closer to shore, and very maneuverable ship. We have a lot of thrust to weight. The thrust to weight ratio is very good, and so we can, at low speeds, are very maneuverable. It's almost like if you can think about how a helicopter can maneuver, we can maneuver almost that way. So whereas a lot of ships, when they go into port, will require support from tugs, we can actually drive into port, go pier side, get underway, twist the ship, get out on our own wherever we need. So again, a lot of capability there to go to ports that the Navy traditionally hasn't been able to go to because there's not tug support or infrastructure that can support us. This place is about 3,000 tons and is just under 400 feet long. And if you've ever ridden a jet ski, we have a picture here in a minute. It'll show you what the water jets look like. It is water jet propulsion. The first class of ship the Navy has made with water jet propulsion. Very similar to a 400-foot long jet ski. Very maneuverable, very fast, very capable. Next slide, please. So for mission packages for mine warfare, again, this shows some of the augment systems that will come on board. We bring 1 or 2 helicopters and then 1 to 3 remote aerial vehicles. And then we'll also have remote vehicles that are surface and subsurface that we can deploy from the ship. That'll give us the capability to deploy mine detecting sensor packages off the ship, again, either via the helicopter or remote vehicle. And then once the mines are located, we can neutralize those mines if necessary, or we can locate them and report their locations to other ships that the other ships can just avoid them. Next slide. For anti-submarine warfare, again, we'll use a series of remote vehicles or helicopters that give us the capability to augment and extend the sensor coverage from the ship. So the MH-60 on the side, the left-hand side, has an airborne radar and also has a dipping sonar capability to allow us to put a sensor in the water remotely from the ship and detect and locate and track the submarine. We can also do that with a remote piloted vehicle, and we will also have the capability to deploy towed sensors from the ship, a towed array sonar, either an active or passive sensor from the ship, which allows us, one of the intricacies of submarine warfare is with the submarine being down in the water column, a lot of the noise is trapped there where the submarine is. And so to effectively locate them and track them, you have to be able to get a sensor down into the water, which a lot of times is very difficult from a surface ship. But being able to tow these, remote operate these vehicles or tow sensors behind us, we can put the sensors down in the water column so that they can be where the submarine is, and then we can hear them, and then we can deploy airdrop torpedoes from the helicopter if we need to engage one of them. Next slide. Surface warfare is a very robust package. So far, the ships that have deployed have been deployed with the surface warfare package. Again, helicopters to give us a capability to extend our sensor capability out over the horizon. The 11-meter rib allows us to do what's called visitation, boarding, searching, and seizure. And that's where we put boarding teams on a boat, and we can go over, we can board suspect vessels to determine if they are trying to smuggle contraband or personnel or weapons of mass destruction or any kind of, really anything that they should not have on board. They'll go over armed. They can search the ship. If the ship is determined that it has cargo on it that's inappropriate, then we can divert that vessel, or we can have another ship come out and escort that vessel into a port to make sure that contraband is taken care of. With that, we also can outfit the ship with 2 30-millimeter cannon in addition to the 57-millimeter gun that comes on the ship, and that gives us a capability to defend against small boats, multiple small boats. Again, so next slide. Oh, okay, so this shows the water jets. Before I talk about those, so again, one of the things that's a little bit different about our ship is instead of being home ported out of the United States and deploying overseas, we'll be home ported out of the United States, but we'll operate in a division construct where there'll be 4 ships in a division. 1 of the 4 ships will remain stateside permanently, and 3 of the ships will go forward to Bahrain on a rotational basis of about 3 years. And so for the 3 years that the ship is forward, the crews will train on the stateside ship, and then they'll fly over and relieve the crew that's on the ship in Bahrain, and the ship will just stay there. That alleviates the cost to the taxpayer of leaving a ship from its home port, driving all the way across the Atlantic through the Mediterranean to get to Bahrain and be on station. And so we will have the opportunity to support strike groups and other Navy ships that are deployed to the region, but we will not necessarily operate with them all the time. And so this gives a capability to where, again, if we know that a group of ships is coming through an area, we can surge to that area before them, and then we can provide protection against small boats or submarines or things like that. So this shows the water jets again. There are 4 of them. The 2 in the middle are boost jets, and the 2 on the sides are steerables, is why they look a little bit different. So on the outboard engines, we have a bucket system that allows them to be it basically vectors the water that's coming out of that jet to control the ship. So we don't have rudders. We actually steer by using the steerable water jets, and they have a bucket mechanism on them that'll lower down that can redirect the water stream back underneath the ship to give us a backing bell. Each one of these water jets, this just shows a side view, each one of these water jets at top speed can move an Olympic-sized swimming pool's worth of water in about 25 seconds. And so very, very maneuverable. With this ship being able to go up to about 50 knots, you can still, because there's no rudders and because you don't have to worry about the direction that the screws are turning like you do on some of the other ships, we can almost immediately reverse the vectoring of this water stream that's coming out of these jets, and we can go from our full speed to being stopped in the water and starting to back in about 2 ships' lengths. So very, very maneuverable. It's going to add a lot of capability to the Navy in terms of speed, where we can go, how close we can go, and then it's going to be a persistent capability that's forward located or forward deployed so that we can augment traditional ships as they deploy to the region. Okay, so if there's no questions, we've got a video that shows the launching of the ship. Oh, this is the ship underway, I'm sorry. This is the ship getting underway from Marinette. This is actually Little Rock getting underway for some testing. She's a good looking ship. Next slide. And so this will show you the side launching that took place up in Marinette.
Captain, you might mention the uniqueness of the side launch.
Sure. So traditionally ships aren't side launched very often, but it's a because of the nature of the waterway up there being on a river, there's not enough room to launch it by the bow like they normally do. So this is a side launch. This is only done one time in the life of the ship. It's done mostly for the effect because it's a celebrational moment. Anytime in the future that the ship will go into dry dock, it will basically just be raised and lowered in a very controlled fashion. But because of the nature of christening, it's done in a dramatic fashion. So then that concludes our presentation. Thank you very much, sir.
Director Hendricks, did you have
I just wanted to ask him, are you familiar?
you pull the microphone up, Director?
Are you familiar or you're aware of the USS Antenna? And I asked you that because my husband was on that ship. He joined the service in 1942 during World War II.
I am not familiar with that specific
That's a big
ship.
rascal. I still have a picture of it.
Outstanding. Well, thank you for his service and for yours, ma'am.
Director Wright.
I didn't see the name USS Little Rock on the ship yet. Has that been, when will that be put on?
It is. It's hard to see. Unfortunately, if you can go back to slide 24, where it shows the ship underway, the ship's name is only displayed on the transom, which is the stern of the ship. On the bow is the number 9, which is our hull number for Little Rock. You can it's hard to make out, but if you look right at the back of the ship, right above the stern door, it says Little Rock. It's already on there.
Oh, okay.
It's just hard to see in this picture. Unfortunately, we didn't have a picture that showed it more prominently,
Oh, okay.
but I guarantee it's there.
Okay. I just wondered, am I not seeing
Nope.
things?
That is, I can assure you that is Little Rock underway right there. Yes, ma'am.
Any other questions? Is that do we have the other video too, or is that just?
That was the 2 videos.
The 2 videos. Okay, good. Commander, thank you so much, and I know you've got your crew here, and I would like to come down and issue a proclamation recognizing the importance of this occasion.
Sir.
And if you'd ask them to come forward.
How'd you like us facing forward or sideways?
They can just circle around behind me.
Okay.
Stand here. Very good. Well, one of the responsibilities that I have as mayor is to issue proclamations that recognize the importance and significance of a variety of things that occur in our city, or occur in this instance around the world, on behalf of the city. So today I am issuing this proclamation that reads as follows. Know ye all people by these presents greetings. Whereas former Secretary of the Navy Raymond Mamis, who was a former crew member of the original USS Little Rock, announced on July 15, 2011 in Little Rock that another combat ship would bear the name USS Little Rock. And whereas the first USS Little Rock was a light cruiser, originally commissioned on 17 June 1945 and was later recommissioned as a missile cruiser, served as the flagship of the 6th Fleet, and is now permanently stationed at the Buffalo and Erie County Naval and Military Park. And whereas the USS Little Rock LCS-9 was christened and launched on July 18, 2015 in Marinette, Wisconsin, and whereas the USS Little Rock LCS-9 is a Freedom Class littoral combat ship having a length of 378 feet, a displacement of 3,400 tons, a maximum speed of 47 knots, and is equipped to handle a number of missions, including surface combat, anti-submarine operations, and anti-mine operations. And whereas the USS Little Rock LCS-9 is finalizing its testing and will be commissioned alongside its namesake, the ship, in Buffalo, in New York, later this year, the first time in the history of the Navy in which a new ship will be commissioned alongside its namesake. And whereas the City of Little Rock, in keeping with the tradition of the Navy and continuing its own tradition of honoring those who serve our country, hopes to cultivate a deep and ongoing relationship with the USS Little Rock and its distinguished crew. Now therefore, I, Mark Stodela, the Mayor of the City of Little Rock, Arkansas, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, June 13th, 2017, as USS Little Rock LCS-9 Day here in the City of Little Rock, and encourage the citizens of Little Rock to welcome the crew of the USS Little Rock, to keep the crew in their thoughts and prayers, and to build on this unique, meaningful relationship for the years to come. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and seal on this 13th day of June, 2017. Captain, I'm honored to present this to you and to the crew. Thank you for all you do and for defending us and keeping us safe. We appreciate it so very much.
Thank you very much, sir. It's been a pleasure. You guys want to get a picture with us?
There's two of us.
Why don't you introduce yourself and indicate what you're doing?
Oh. All right. I'm Ensign Samantha Robbins.
Step to the microphone.
I'm Ensign Samantha Robbins from Fort Myers, Florida.
IT2 Rodriguez from Melbourne, Florida.
You might tell them you got people from all over the country.
We do. You want everybody to introduce themselves?
Sure, yeah, let them all introduce themselves.
Ian to ask you from Raleigh, North Carolina.
BMC House from Brooklyn, New York.
Ensign Brandon Alcorn from Avon, Indiana.
Lieutenant Junior Grade Dyer from Mountain Berg, Arkansas.
Petty Officer First Class Vaughn. I'm from Melbourne, Florida.
BM3 Garza from Houston, Texas.
GSE-1 Birch from Chicago, Illinois.
IT-1 Smith from Idaho Falls, Idaho.
MN1 Rogers from St. Paul, Minnesota.
MNC Walters from Tyler, Texas.
Master Chief Reynolds from St. John's, Florida.
Very good. Thank you all. We will be hosting a dinner for them this evening at Curran Hall starting at 6 o'clock. I'd like to invite all of the board members, if you're free, to come by and attend if you would like. As was mentioned, the ship is going to get commissioned in Buffalo, New York, and we've put together a commissioning committee. Former Mayor Tom Prince, who is a Naval Academy graduate and a veteran, is co-chairing our committee. We have several people from the community who've helped to volunteer to to do the variety of things that are going to be done over the 3 days of that celebration when it's commissioned. Certainly would love to have board members be involved and attend as well. We're going to wind up having to raise a little bit of money too, by the way. So that's why we're putting together a committee. Obviously, we want to create a lasting relationship, and so how we do that once the ship is commissioned is one of the things that the committee will be working on and deciding how we can continue to keep that relationship going. So, but tonight, 6 o'clock at Curran Hall and 6:30. Okay, sorry, 6:30. Thank you, Brian. And so we'd love to have you there. And that goes for certainly our staff as well, Tom and Bruce, Susan, et cetera.
Mayor, for the sailors, that's 18:30. I just wanted you to know that.
Thank you, Tom. All right, very good. And you are certainly free to leave now unless you'd like to listen to the rest of our activities. Get a little bit of free time between now and dinner time. Thank you, Captain. Okay, let's take a look at our agenda, if we could, please. We've got a couple of modifications. We've got a resolution, and we've got 2 ordinances. If there's, Mr. Moore, you're wishing to add these, is that correct?
Correct, Mayor.
If there's no objection, we'll put the resolution on the consent agenda and group ordinances M2 and M3.
Mayor, being
Yes.
handed out and passed out now is another ordinance that deals with the award of the stop loss aspects of our workers' comp program. We need to add that too if we can.
Say that again a little bit louder.
It's an ordinance to continue the contract for the stop loss coverage for workers' compensation. It's required by statute. We need to add that if we can.
All right. I don't think anybody will have any objection to that, so we'll add that to our grouped items as well. Did I hear a question? Is this the one that was already passed out?
One was passed out that had a couple of typos and put a star date instead of a year, and this one that just got passed out is supposed to be correct.
But it's the same, it's basically the same as what was on the table already? Okay.
Yes.
So, all right. Okay, well, we'll add that as well then to the grouped items.
I think M3 we need to have separate. I don't know if he said that, but staff's recommended.
And then you'll note we have a deferral of ordinance number 4 to July 5th of 2017. I understand there's going to be some meetings with the Board of Realtors to discuss this issue, which is why the deferral is appropriate at this time. Moving on, let me ask board members to look at the 3 items on the consent agenda. Let me ask if there's any questions about any of that. Mr. Moore, on item 3, the cost of that, is that coming out of our general operational budget?
That's correct, Mayor.
Okay. Okay, let's move on to the planning and development items if there's no other questions on the consent. And let me ask if there's any questions on any of these items. Yes, Director Adcock, you're recognized, please.
I would like a presentation on 7 and 9, and I noticed 7 has a relationship with 11, and that 9 has a relationship with 12. So I guess 7, 11, 9, and 12.
Mr. Brzezinski.
Director Adcock, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of the board. Item 7 is a proposed change to the land use plan for the area down Highway 365, and which would be like southwest of College Station. There are 2 changes proposed. A large area from industrial to mining, that's identified as location 2. And location 1 is from residential low density to park open space. And it just, the M, and the location 2 is zone M mining. So this just recognizes the current zoning of the property.
Tony, does this mean that they're going to start mining in that land?
It gives them that ability. I don't know if they have immediate plans to do anything.
Is there any residential near that?
No.
I think I'm thinking of the mining out off of Lawson Road where you have lots of homes that complain about the dust and the noise and everything of mining. So how much closer is this moving the mining to residential?
There are some houses further south on Highway 365. I can't tell you exactly how close, and then
What type of notification, since this is in the extraterritorial, outside the city limits,
no, this is in the city limits.
this one's in the city limits? How much notification have we given to the people in those areas? Because I don't know of any neighborhood associations right in most of that area there.
On this one, we did send to College Station.
Those homes over on the left, that's not College Station, is it? College Station is up there towards the top. So what notification did we give to the homes over on the left?
There's, on a land use plan amendment, there's no notification to property owners like a rezoning. There's no 200-foot notification.
Mr. Moore, I have a problem. If we've not notified the people that live in that area, and in some of the areas that we do have mining, we have lots of complaints about the noise and the dust and everything. So what can we do to make sure those people over there are notified and have a chance to voice their opposition of if they're for this?
Tony,
Now, I'm sorry, Bruce, go
go ahead.
I was just going to say, Director Adcock, the property is zoned mining now. And this is just a change to reflect that zoning.
Okay, say that again.
The property is currently zoned M mining. And what we're doing here, the request is to amend the land use plan from industrial to mining to recognize the current zoning of the property.
How long has it been zone mining?
I think this was rezoned this year when it was annexed. I'll have to check on that.
So this has just been annexed to the city this year?
Yes, or at the end of last year.
Mr. Moore, I still would like to find some way to notify the people in that area that this is even before the city board.
You referring to?
If you go up the Highway 365, those houses up to your left, on East 2nd Street, Marion Street, Carolina Street. He said they notified College Station. College Station is on this map up in the right-hand corner. But these other houses are closer to it.
I think Director Adcock, in that area you just described, I know there's several non-residential uses. I don't think it's exclusively residential.
Why did we annex this into the city?
There was a request made, we reviewed it, went through the planning commission, and ultimately the board annexed it into the city.
The request was by the property owners?
Yes.
The mining property owners,
3M.
3M? I still would like to find some way to notify the people that this is before us. They may even not even know that they've been annexed into the city.
Well, that particular area is not in the city, the one you just described. The city limits, as you can see, go up Highway 365 and then come down Carolina Street.
I'd like to leave this separate. What is number 11? Because it has a relationship, I think, to this.
Well, that's correct, and these are all filed by 3M. The one we just went over, and number 9, no, excuse me. Number 8 is a rezoning request filed by 3M for property further to the north. And then number 11 is a request to abandon several paper plats and rights-of-way within the larger 3M ownership to the north.
Do we have any idea what 3M is getting ready to do with all this? Do we have the applicant here?
Director Adcock, it's, again, the number 9 is rezoning. No, I'm sorry. That's number 8 is rezoning about 98 acres split between OS open space. That's approximately 30 acres, and the remaining 67.5 acres, the proposed rezoning is M mining. And this is in an area where they currently have their mining operations. So it's for allowing them any future expansion of those operations.
Okay, over here by this JECK court, are those houses in there? And then on down, Scott, can you go up a little bit? Detroit Street, those are homes, aren't they?
Yes,
So it's moving the mining closer to those homes? And that's in Granite Mountain, isn't it?
that is, but they're also, as you can see, that proposed track 6, that's proposed for open space, which creates a buffer. And as is track 7, that's also open space, so that's providing a buffer there. And
How
then
about track 5? It
Track
goes
5's
right up to those homes.
track 5 is proposed for mining.
Okay, so track 5 that's proposed for mining, that goes right up by those 3 houses that are beside RL. So how close are we putting mining to those homes in Granite Mountain?
You know me, I'm bad on distances, so I'm not going to even guess on that. We'll.
But it
give
looks like we've got it just next door to the houses.
No, there's that OS area between the houses and the mining.
Which OS areas are you talking about?
Track 7.
Track 7. But see where it says JECK Court?
Yes, I see.
Okay, well, those 2 red lines come together, that's right by, it looks like 2 or 3 houses there. So how close is that mining going to those homes?
We'll just have to get you that distance.
I think that's part of track
Okay,
7.
was
isn't
those
it?
people notified? You said on the other one they wasn't, so was the people in Granite Mountain notified? Because, you know, for years we've heard about how the mining has caused their houses, the foundations to crack and everything. So if we're putting this mining that much closer, I want to make sure the people in Granite Mountain and College Station are aware of this.
Tony, maybe, isn't track 7, didn't it go all the way down? Is that the way I look at that? Where that Athens Avenue?
There's a line through there, Mr. Moore, that looks like it cuts it off.
That property that's not crosshatched, Mr. Moore, to the south of what would be the southern boundary of track 7 And track 5, it's currently zoned, for whatever reason, I think still R2. I'll just have to check on that, because there's some out parcels within that area that are zoned C3. If we could go to the zoning map. There's small areas of even C3 in there.
Who did you notify in College Station and Granite Mountain?
With the rezoning, all property owners within 200 feet were notified, and then the College Station Neighborhood Association was notified.
How about Granite Mountain?
It's not listed on here that they were notified.
Mr. Moore, I'd like to make sure that Granite Mountain and College Station was both notified.
Okay.
And I'd like all 4 of these to be held separate. I know that we've got active associations in both of those communities, and I would like for someone to call to make sure that they receive the notifications for it. Thank you.
Okay, Director Hendricks, you have a comment on this, please?
It's not a comment, it's a big station. Tony met with the group and myself initially with the court.
Would you pull your microphone up, please?
Tony and I met initially with the group. And Mr. Moore, I don't know who you would be notifying because there was nearly 100 people there. And I have also met with the association, the Granite Mountain Association, and they have also met with 3M. So they're satisfied. Maybe Joan is sort of after the fact, but we have done all of that. It's several meetings.
Were there any, Tony, did anybody come to the meeting and to the Planning Commission and object to this?
Yes, at the May 11th, there were some individuals that, I guess you can say, spoke in opposition. They raised concerns.
Was that on item 7, ordinance 7?
On item 8, I'm sorry, the rezoning, the 3M.
Oh, on item 8.
Right. Concerns about condition of some of the 3M properties, overgrown weed lots, grass. Of course, we hear the dust and noise, and then what are the future uses of these areas?
Okay.
I'd like to ask Tony a question. Were there any minorities at the planning meeting?
Director Hendricks, Christopher King spoke.
Were they in opposition?
Christopher King addressed the commission in opposition.
Thank you.
And Ms. Dozier, she spoke. Terry Gray spoke, and then Austin Porter Jr.
Yeah.
He pointed out to the commission that the Progressive League, College Station Progressive League, had been working with 3M on revising some of the zoning. They changed, as you can see, that yellow note on the graphic in front of you, that was what is called track 4 was being proposed to add a small area of a mining there. And the College Station, the meeting I went to out in College Station, there were a number of comments raised about that. I think 3M met with the neighborhood and they've removed that from consideration.
When you said they, you are talking about 3M, aren't you?
3M, the applicant, yes,
3M.
ma'am.
And the last that I heard, they were satisfied, so you never know what goes on behind closed doors.
Tony, just on the write-up on item 7, I think the map indicated that property was actually in the city limits, but Our note says it's located in the city's ETJ. Okay, so we're just going to correct that. You're very good. I just want to make sure. Okay. All right, we'll hold these separately as requested. Also, I've got a request to hold item 5 separately. So I'm not sure what that leaves us. I guess it leaves us with item 6, which will be separate unto itself in the grouped items. So we'll just read them all individually. I guess we might have, I take that back. I guess we've got,
Is 9 separate?
we got M2 and M3. M2 and M3 that I guess could be grouped with it, so. Okay, turning to the separate items, we've got a condemnation ordinance. Do we have the photographs by chance for this? You're doing a great job back there, by the way. Thank you.
Yeah, he said to group it.
Thank you. Director Hendricks, you're recognized.
Yes, it's Mr. Moore. I wanted to ask him approximately what does it cost just to tear down one structure? Just one.
Director Hendricks, it really depends on the size. They average,
Give me your maximum and your minimum cost.
I would, I've seen some that are 2-story that cost us $5,000. I've seen some that are smaller that cost you $25,000. And what we try to do is package it, so our costs are so we don't do 10 different contractors. We try to package them.
Okay, the reason why I ask, this may not be the time to do it, but again, I want to put together an ordinance or whatever Tom would call it, where the firemen could use these as examples of how to deal with a burned house. That's all. I'll bring
To
it
answer your question, it'll be approximate cost of $37,000 to demolish all of these.
And that's money that could be put into your revenue. And I think that, and I had brought an article from the paper, and I do know that that's going on somewhere in the state of Arkansas where firemen are being trained to take care of a house that's burning and coming down. Thanks, Mayor. That's too much money to be thrown away for.
Okay. We can now, you'll note we have 3 public hearings for Tuesday. Are there any questions on any of those items? I guess 11 is part of what we talked about already, so that will be read, that'll be read separately anyway. And if there's nothing else, that concludes our agenda. Director Wright.
Mayor and my fellow colleagues, I just received a text, and I just want to send out congratulations to my niece. This is the child that I raised. She just successfully defended her dissertation, and we will be having a PhD in the family.
Very good.
Long, hard battle, but she did it. Yes, she lives here.
What's her PhD in?
Criminal justice.
Good, very good.
She's an adult probation officer, and she wrote her dissertation on transforming the current system.
I hope the state of Arkansas will read it.
I hope they'll hire her to reform it.
Okay, Vice Mayor Webb.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I have a question about the photo ID issue that we, I guess I've seen an article or so about it, but I don't think we've had a chance to discuss it here, and I've had a number of complaints from constituents about it, and just wondered why we did it and what spurred it, and if we could get a little summary of information. It doesn't matter.
And I would just want to understand, we've had some complaints about why we're doing the municipal ID program.
No, the photo ID to get into the city, the visitors. I apologize for the lack of clarity.
First of all, I want, it needs to be known that Little Rock is not the only governmental entity that has this system in place. Secondly, we've tried different variations of this, of securing City Hall, because of a variety of reasons. We've seen nationally, thank God not recently, but people bringing guns into city council chambers and other types of threats that are being made. The badge system that we had was not working because people were walking out of the door with the badges. I've learned about this system while I was attending a meeting in D.C. and looked into it. But the most important thing is that no one is denied access to City Hall. If you don't have a photo ID, there's a button on that the security guards will that can access that says no photo ID. It still puts your name on it and where you're going. And the thing that I have to think about is if something happens here, how I can make sure our visitors are taken care of and our staff and elected officials are taken care of. And I'll give you an example. I had every employee of this organization go through an active shooter training starting last year and this year. I mean, not only employees here, but Public Works, Fleet, because this is the world we live in. So I can assure you everything I do when it comes to the security system or securing this building and other buildings is in the best interest of our employees and our visitors to City Hall. So we've had some quirks in getting it started, but again, no one is denied access. It's just an accountability system.
Bruce, thank you, and I think that makes a lot of sense. Just some of the articles that were written were really negative, and I think if we had, and now we can go explain it better as well to people, because I definitely want the employees to be safe. I want to be safe when I'm here, and I want our visitors to be safe. And now to know where they're going and all that kind of stuff, it does make a lot of sense. So
and sometimes I miscalculated. I think this was going to be a front page Sunday story. I really didn't, but so I'll take the blame for that. So.
No, thank you for that.
Director Hendricks, you're recognized, please.
My question is to Tom. Who else received this piece of paper that you gave me? Because it was a personal request. It wasn't for everybody.
Director Hendricks, who's noted as being copied on it? I'm trying to, oh, here's mine. Okay, I think this is, no, I don't. I don't have a
And this is
copy
the
here.
one that has to do with at large. Nobody received this with me.
It should be noted if anybody received it on the copies, and I don't remember. I know that sometimes I'm asked to share them and sometimes I'm asked not to. And when I'm asked not to, I don't.
Okay. Just me? I'm waiting for an answer. Who else received this?
If there's no copy noted at the last page, no carbon to anybody, no one received it.
And I'm speaking of the at-large request. Okay.
Right. If you
Thank
look on the last page of the memorandum,
Thank you.
okay.
Director Wyrick, you're recognized, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Mr. Moore, I saw some emails this weekend regarding some 10-year-olds that were involved in shooting BBs, and the police were called, and there was a report made, but from what I read, it didn't look like that there were any citations or anything done. And the report I read said that because the person was under 10 years old, that we didn't do anything. But is there something in the city law that would hold the parents accountable for shooting BB guns? I don't know the circumstances, but I do know a report was filed with 911. The police came, something about they were doing target practice. And then in March of this year, there were several windows that were shot out in this community. Can you give us some information about that? Okay, thank you.
Okay, Director Wright.
Mr. Ward, have you brought the Parks Director and introduced him, or did I miss something? The new guy?
I'm planning on doing that over the next, at the agenda meeting, the last agenda meeting of this month.
Okay, thank you. I thought maybe I missed it or something. Okay.
I'm trying to let him get oriented to the city before I open him up to.
Doris, it sounds like you probably already know him. I want to mention to everyone that the annual Municipal League Convention begins tomorrow evening through Friday. We are the host city, and we do the host breakfast on Thursday morning. And normally, we have several board members who attend and help me, and particularly Director Adcock, greet people, and we would like some company. So I'm personally inviting all the board members to spend an hour with us from anywhere from 7 o'clock to 8:30 to greet people. There'll be somewhere in the vicinity of 1,500 to 1,800 people from around the state, municipal officials that will be with us. It's a great thing for the city. First of all, it's great to promote our city, our capital city, and they like coming to Little Rock. And we host the breakfast. We pay for the breakfast, so I'd love to have you all attend with us if you could. Director Wright.
Mr. Mayor, how many of these things do they have? Look like it's twice a year or something, is it?
That's true. There are
It
two.
is twice a year.
There's
Okay.
two meetings a year that they have.
It looked
Yes.
like we just had one.
There's one in January and one in June.
I knew I wasn't crazy.
Yes, and I should, lest I forget that Director Peck was also there. Thank you.
Okay.
A newbie getting broken in, yeah. Okay, very good.
What Joan might do if I didn't show up.
That's true, yeah. You don't want to know the consequence of that. All right, if there's nothing else, we're finished. Thank you very much.